Hey, what is up everybody? It's Lewpac here, back with another Albion Online video for you. And today, we're going to be taking a look at Oberon Patch 2, which is the free-to-play launch patch. We're going to take a little look at the patch notes and dissect them and talk about them. It'll probably be quite a short video because it's not a huge patch. It's just a, it's a mini patch after an update. But as you guys who follow the channel know, we always like to take a look at the notes and discuss the impact they'll have on the game and particularly the meta when it comes to the combat changes. So let's just get straight into it then, guys. This is going to be the free-to-play patch. These notes were updated on the 3rd of April. I'm making this video on the 8th of April. The patch drops on the 10th. So there may be some changes by then. Hopefully nothing too major, but just bear that in mind. So we are 2 days away from the free-to-play launch. First up then, there's a couple of little improvements to talk about. Moving between clusters within a city no longer requires a cooldown period. This was particularly annoying when you were coming back from the Outlands portal and you couldn't zone straight through the portal area into the town or the auction house on a fast mount because of cooldowns. It's not a massive change, but it's definitely a change that we wanted nonetheless. And then this one is kind of vague. Again, further performance improvements via optimization of name tags, mob health bars, veteran mob icons, and party target markers. So optimization and performance improvements, always welcome. But I have no idea how much of an impact these are going to be. We'll have to just wait and see once they hit the live server. Next on the notes then, portal respawn and island changes. Now this is actually quite a massive change, and you probably already know that I had to do a separate video entirely dedicated to this. So if you want to learn about the portal changes that are coming into the game, which are basically going to change the way the game plays at its core, then I suggest you go and have a look at that video. It's an interesting watch, and I'll put the link below in the comments. But for now, for this video, we're going to skip over that. Increase resource respawn speed. This is going to be, what's the word? Unsurprising, sorry, for anybody that played launch or Steam launch. In the starting areas, the low tier resources are going to get demolished like a plague of locusts have gone over the whole world. So they've upped all of the respawn rates so that people won't have to stand next to a node waiting for it to respawn. And it gives all of the new players a chance to level up. Now I imagine as people level up and move out and the initial surge ends, these respawn rates will be adjusted back down. But for now, I mean, tier 4 is 500% faster respawn. So everything's going to be respawning super quick. A T2 will respawn in 21 seconds. So, I mean, you can almost stand in front of it and wait for it to respawn rather than look for the next node now. But this will be super helpful for all the new players. Another free-to-play related change will be the guild costs then. To stop people creating accounts and spamming new guilds to get new guild islands, they've upped the cost to found a guild from 25,000 to 100,000, and the cost of a new guild island from 50 to 75. I can't remember if creating a new guild needs premium or not because it's so long since I did it, but that's just a little change, definitely to prevent exploiting free accounts as easily. Now the next one is a super big change, especially for anybody who's going to be free to play and maybe doesn't have premium at the start of the game. So free users can now complete the daily bonus and earn challenge points. So what this means is you have to have premium to get the rewards from the Adventurous Challenge. But now, while you're working towards getting your premium, which I'm sure everybody will be, you can actually be completing the challenge in advance so that when you get your premium, you'll be able to get the rewards you've already earned straight away rather than having to get premium before you can even start earning the rewards. I think this is a really nice change for new players and free-to-play players. Good quality of life and definitely lets them see some progress. On top of that, the daily bonus now grants a Tome of Insight. So every time you complete the daily bonus, you get a Tome of Insight, which is great for people who complete it fast because that means if you're still playing actively on a character, even though you've got all the rewards already, you're still going to get a daily Tome of Insight. Now, one tome isn't a lot to a high-end character, but to a new player, 10,000 instant fame or 30 to 40,000 silver to sell it is a really big deal as a daily bonus. So this is really, really nice for all the new players starting. And the next change is even bigger for free players. So people without premium will get 10 learning points by completing the daily bonus. So it really, they're really taking the sting out of not having premium. My recommendation to every player in this game is still the same. If you don't have premium, your immediate goal should be to work towards premium. Similarly, if you have a good disposable income and you can afford to just buy it with real money, do it. Takes the stress out of grinding for it, and it supports the game. But they really are taking the sting out of it. Obviously, premium players will still get 20 learning points per day without doing anything. But free-to-play players being able to get 10 learning points from doing the daily bonus will really help early progression and make it feel a lot less painful to not have premium. On to some additional changes then. The horrific over-the-top fade to red effect that is basically gives you zero vision when you're near death and prevents you avoiding spells or doing anything. Thank the Lord they are reducing it so that you can actually see again. It was massively overkill and it was basically certain death when you were low HP because you couldn't see what you were doing. They have a couple of visual changes then. Visual settings and presets. Show effects is now all by default. You could turn this down for improved performance in ZVZ, I'm sure. Premium and gold stats appearing on the character selection screen is just, another little quality of life change. Changes to dungeon immunity. This is a big one because a lot of people, you've seen videos of people exploiting the dungeon bubble and also complaining that the dungeon bubble lasted 10 seconds, but it's 15 seconds before you get your cooldowns. So you've got 5 seconds basically where if you've zoned in to a new section of a dungeon and enemies are there, they've got 5 seconds where they can beat on you and you can't use any abilities. Likewise, people will go in bouncing between one floor and the next with the 10-second bubble and then just going down again to prevent ever dying. You could literally do this infinitely and never be killed. So catching that last person in a dungeon group was super difficult. If they just didn't want to be killed, they would just do it forever until you got bored and left, or they fell asleep at the keyboard and then you killed them. There's a small change to the Undead Knights spell indication because it was a little bit janky, popping all over the place, so that's kind of nice. A reward for a small fish was reduced from 2 sigils to 1 sigil. It's actually quite bad for new players because royal sigils are worth a good bit of money. And the tier 7 elementals in the dungeons now only have 2 charges of tier 7 stone. They were actually a sneaky little way to gain a good amount of tier 7 stone, which is quite expensive right now. Now onto the balance changes for the patch, which really is the meat of the patch. We've got first up the bows. So a big change to the auto attack for bows. Plus 2 meters range for bow attacks. Increased speed, but reduced damage for bow attacks as well. Now this is actually an overall damage buff for bows, in particular the normal bow, because the bow will attack faster and from further away, but will hit for less damage each hit. But as we know with the normal bow, you want to hit as fast as possible to build up your enchanted quiver stacks. So that's a really good buff for normal bow. Maybe not as good for the whispering bow, but still decent because it's going to be attacking faster with the ult up. You're going to fire off more explosive arrows even quicker if you're using them. No hit time and no hit delay and stand time, on frost shot for bows anymore is nice for those open worlders. Going to make it a much cleaner ability to use in 1v1s and for evading attacks. The piercing arrows passive has had its damage reduction doubled. The attack speed passive has had its attack speed buff raised from 3 seconds to 5 seconds. So buffs all round, especially the regular bow, which is getting its enchanted quiver to go from 15 to 18. And the whispering bow, the undead arrows, has a big damage increase, like nearly over a 25% damage increase. It does have a range reduction, but then couple that with the fact that the base range is actually higher, it's probably not such a big deal. Losing 2 seconds off their duration kind of sucks, but remember you are going to be doing more damage per hit and you're attacking faster because of the baseline. So crossbows, which definitely needed a bit of love right now. They're removing the aggressive caster passive and adding a new passive called Well Prepared. Every 4 activated spells, your Q slot spell cooldown is instantly reset. So that just means you get another instant explosive bolt, which now costs less, has a lower stand time and a lower hit delay. They're also trying to bring back auto fire once again. So reducing the interval on the shot so it fires quicker, more damage per tick, more damage on the explosion, and more range. So a full buff to that ability. Will it see play? Probably still not, but we'll see if anyone wants to give it a go. Crossbows are in a pretty bad spot right now in 5v5. We're still seeing the Siege Bow and the Weeping Repeater quite heavily in ZVZs. Other than that, they're not really getting a lot of play. Knockback Shot now increases attack and cast speed by 50% for 5 seconds. Not a bad ability. 8-second cooldown. Knockback distance increased. Damage increased. Again, hit delay reduction and stand time reduction. I love seeing these because as the hit delay and stand time goes down, abilities feel cleaner to use. Regular crossbow snipe shot. Range increase, stand time decrease, and a nice damage increase. That could do some serious damage now. And again, sweeping bolt, cooldown reduction, stand time reduction, hit delay reduction. All good stuff for the crossbow, but will it bring it back into the meta? Who knows? Tune into my next meta snapshot to find out. Daggers then. A big change for the Bloodletter. So this is a weird one. This is a nerf to Bloodletter as an escape weapon by changing the rapier stabs, the E cooldown to 30 seconds from 20. So people looking for mobility and escapes get basically a 50% longer cooldown. However, hitting an enemy below 40% reduces all cooldowns by 10 seconds. So if you actually hit an execute on somebody who's below 40%, you get the same cooldown on your Bloodletter as you had before. Coupled with the fact that it resets all of your cooldowns. So your chest piece, your helm, your boots, all the other abilities on your Bloodletter get reset by 10 seconds, which is huge. So this is actually a buff to the Bloodletter, in my opinion, in 5v5s and actual fights and ZVZs, but it's a nerf to it as an escape and mobility weapon. Interesting to see if it can sneak into the meta. I've always liked the Bloodletter, but I just think it doesn't offer enough in the fight outside of executes to be played as a mainstream weapon. Unsurprisingly, the super meta Contagious Fire on the Infernal Staff getting a slight damage reduction. Everybody's PvE healing favorite Holy Beam is getting a cooldown reduction. They're actually buffing Celestial Spear again on the Redemption Staff. Still trying to make Redemption Staff a thing. One of the teams in Sun is actually running it and has had some success with it, but it is still an ability that can be completely voided by your own teammates, which is never a good feeling. Reanimate on the Nature Staffs is now a channel instead of a cast ability. It revitalizes an ally, restoring 60 health and 10 energy per second. It can be channeled up to 5 times, and it spends energy as you go. So it's kind of like the Holy Beam of nature now, but it restores energy as well. The Wild Staff, Well of Life, a nice CVZ weapon, cooldown reduced by 5 seconds, always welcome. Quarterstaffs, Forceful Swing, cooldown, extra 3 seconds on that. I'm not sure that was really necessary. You only really played Forceful Swing against like spears or bows, I guess you'd use it against, but there's not really a lot of call for Forceful Swing other than that. Not quite sure why it got nerfed, but Hurricane getting a 4-second cooldown increase, I can totally see, because Ironclad and Hurricane is super meta right now. Another massive buff to Broadsword, just even more damage on the Mighty Blow of Broadsword. Definitely a really good single target weapon right now, very underrated. And Spinning Blades on the dual swords, that percentage based damage that we're seeing so much, especially in IP capped fights, is being nerfed from 8 to 6, because it was a little bit overtuned, and we were seeing it a lot in crystals and stuff like that, where your attacks would normally be weaker, but 8% is 8% whatever IP you're playing at, which is what was making dual swords so popular, especially with that Heron Spear dive comp. Helmets then, emergency heal on the Guardian helmet, slight cooldown reduction, and the buff duration on displacement immunity on the Knight's helm. Wow, 10 seconds down to 6. That is a huge nerf to Knight's Helm, and it means you've got to be a lot more careful when activating it. You know, you can't just pop it at the start of every engage and be fine. You've really got to get that timing right, because that's nearly a 50% reduction in duration. 40% off your duration is nothing to be sniffed at. Okay, that's it for the balance changes. Let me know in the comments what you think and, you know, how you feel these will affect the meta in both ZVZ and 5v5s. And then finally, there's a few little fixes going in with this patch. So your weight will now update correctly. There'll be no longer a display bug. Graphics settings will persist when you log in and out. There's now an exclusive full screen mode for full screen. Switching between different full screen modes requires a restart. You'll see your own name tag and health bar flash when you go into a PvP zone in the Royals. I really like that because the PvP flagging in Royals feels really janky and confusing, so I like that change. Respawning after dying during portal binding immunity in the Outlands now removes the binding as intended. Okay. So if you die during the little free time you've got to not get locked, it does remove that portal binding still. Okay, that's good. So if you were dying while you were still like within the time where you wouldn't get locked, you were then getting locked because you died. So that's a nice change. The Morgana Champion Spike spell matches more closely. Looting items from afar via teleport skills is no longer allowed. That's good. Missing mob shield. The chest rats going into the undead dungeons and getting blue chests without fighting bosses. That's been fixed again. Changed some sound effects. Changed some volumes and numerous additional things. So all in all, quite a big patch for a mid-season patch. Obviously the portal changes have their own video. That's quite a big change, but a lot of cool stuff that's going to hopefully shake up the meta a little bit. Love to see bows and crossbows make a comeback. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching this little patch notes review. Keep tuned, like and subscribe the channel for more Albion Online content. If you enjoy it on a regular basis, consider becoming a patron of the channel. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.